Hello there, I'm Mike Creevy for Homeschool Connections, and with me today is Paul Hyatt to talk about his courses. Paul, how you doing?
Good. How you doing, Mike?
I'm doing good. This is exciting. This is a chance to really hear a little bit more about you and your courses, and I thought we'd just start with the courses specifically. What do you teach for Homeschool Connections, and what do you have coming up?
So, I teach a little bit of everything. I have taught some philosophy courses. I have my Western political thought course that is recorded now, and a couple of different government courses. One of them is going to be a college prep government course, and then just a basic American government course. And I also have a live Roman history course, and then I'm also teaching another live section of my History Through Conspiracy Theories course this coming school year.
Now
So,
that one sounds fun. I don't I don't really want to give too much away, but what do you do in some of those? Well, like that course in particular.
so that one, basically, we just go, we cover a wide variety of historical topics throughout the course, but we just kind of go in and take a look at the various different conspiracy theories that you might find out there, all the way from the wild ones like aliens and secret societies and stuff like that, to some of the more generally accepted ones about like the JFK assassination and stuff like that
Mm, sure.
that we have a lot of information on and stuff like that. And students just really have a blast with it. It was a lot of fun and just makes you kind of approach history from a different direction. It's really fun course to
Sure.
have.
I imagine a course like that opens up all kinds of fun possibilities, but I would imagine among them would be questions about how do we know like what sources to trust and those kinds of questions, which are of course very important to consider.
Yeah, and it's a lot of fun to be able to go through and do all of that and take a look at just all of the various different people who are considered to be authorities, and also talking about why they might be an authority or an expert on this particular subject. And when you get into talking about like John F. Kennedy, there's so many books on that particular subject that it's so
Yeah,
hard to be able to determine which ones might be a little bit salacious and whatnot. So it's a lot of fun to look at those.
sure. Do you have a particular favorite sort of aspect of history or government in terms of some of those courses that you teach? Is there something you really want to highlight in particular that you think people might really enjoy taking?
So I think when you take a basic government course from me, something that you're going to get more of in one of my courses versus maybe someone else who teaches it, is I really enjoy the philosophical aspects of it. So I really like to dig deep into where we come from philosophically speaking. And that's why I really enjoy my favorite course to teach is my Western political thought course, which is all about Western political philosophy from Socrates to really the Enlightenment, but also kind of the ideological period as well there too. But that's definitely something that I really enjoy getting down pretty deep into our roots of where we come from. And then from a
Hmm.
historical standpoint, I really enjoy um, ancient Greece, ancient Rome, and medieval history. Those are really my favorite subjects
Sure.
to get into, which is why teaching Roman history this year is going to be just such a blast because I come from a public school teaching background where you
Okay.
just don't get to go into that amount of depth on really anything. In a world history course, which is where you would teach about Roman Civ, you would be lucky to get 3 to 4 weeks of Roman Civ in a school year,
Hmm.
and it's just so the ability to teach a whole semester or 2 whole semesters of Roman history is just a gift. So because there's just
Oh,
so much
sure.
there. So
Right. It's inexhaustible, I bet.
yeah.
Well, and if we have a little bit of time here, if you just want to share a little bit maybe about your own background as it pertains to this particular set of courses you teach or your own interest, those things that really maybe brought you to Homeschool Connections as far as, a place for you to teach those things.
Um, so I suppose my background as it pertains to just like having an interest in history and philosophy. I just kind of always have had that interest there. But when I graduated from high school, I went to the Marine Corps. So being an infantryman in the Marine Corps and kind of like, I don't really like to compare myself to the people that, from like World War I and World War II, but it is kind of neat to think about like, taking part of history in that particular way is kind of an interesting one. So,
Sure.
and when I was hired in my first teaching job, they actually said, they were like, who better to teach history than a former United States Marine? So I was like, that's kind of neat. But yeah, so my background with the military is definitely one thing that just kind of piques that interest. But then it was really my conversion to Catholicism that led me to Homeschool Connections, because I just kind of saw that I wasn't, I just really didn't see eye to eye too terribly much any longer with the public school system. So
Hmm.
because of that, I just wanted to teach for a group that more properly aligns with my values.
Sure.
And I love what Homeschool Connections says about our CEO is the Holy Spirit, and we basically get all truth from the Catechism of the Catholic Church, and I think that's a wonderful thing. So,
Amen.
but then as far as also looking into just kind of developing that interest in philosophy impacted my life as a craftsman, as being a woodworker and stuff like
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that a little bit too. How that, I don't know if any of that comes up specifically in your coursework, but just your own personal interest here in that kind of like what kinds of stuff do you work on there?
Oh yeah, I definitely uh, you know use a ton of analogies throughout all of my courses. Like if you take one of my philosophy courses, I always talk about how the good craftsman is the reflection of the good man and stuff like that, and how when you're going after truth, beauty, and goodness in every aspect of your life, that imparts that goodness on you, and helps bring a lot of meaning to a world that's full of suffering. And I think that we need more of that in our lives. And I think that that's also what Homeschool Connections does. So,
Hmm. Well, Paul, I think one of the hardest parts about sitting in this seat is that all I'm going to want to do all the time is just talk more to our instructors and then find out more. But for those who do want to find out more, for students who want to find out more, for parents who might want to learn more about what you offer here for Homeschool Connections and how to get in touch with you, what's the best way to do that?
if they want to contact me directly, they can do so via email at phyatt.hsc@gmail.com. And then they can find me in the course catalog at Homeschool Connections.
Wonderful. Paul Hyatt, thank you so much for stopping by today and sharing about your courses at Homeschool Connections.
No problem. Thank you.
Hey, God bless you.
You too.